Most people are familiar with the sad story of the Trail of Tears. Thousands of Cherokee Indians were forced from the mountains of western North Carolina to the barren plains of Oklahoma. But few people have heard of another Trail of Tears, a trail that led thousands of Americans down a road to nowhere. Eyewitness News reporter John George has details.
Okay, all more. We're fixing to pull out here now. All right.
I can still just feel myself coming around the curve and seeing that house sitting back up in the big meadow and the hollow.
They're going home, but not to stay. 50 years ago, these mountains were alive with bustling towns, bright-eyed school children, country churches. The clang of logging trains echoed through the valleys. Now they're filled with silence, ruins, and bittersweet memories.
The sweet memories are all of living there and the people and being separated from them. But the bitterness is with our government for going back on its word and not keeping the promise that they made.
In the early 1940s, the Tennessee Valley Authority seized nearly 60,000 acres of western North Carolina's Swain and Graham counties, forcing the settlers out. Whole communities were bulldozed and burned. They said the land was needed for a lake to produce hydroelectric power for the war effort.
And, you know, anything that would help the war effort. And people are more patriotic then than they are now.
What people weren't told was that only a small part of the land was for the lake. The rest was to be given away to the National Park Service. In 1943, the government did promise to build a road to provide access to dozens of cemeteries that would be cut off by the lake. Nearly 20 years after the 1943 agreement, the government finally began construction on the long-awaited highway. But after completion of this tunnel, environmentalists convinced the government to abandon the project 28 miles short of its final destination.
And that road was our access. That was the way we were promised we could come back to our cemeteries.
Today, the government does provide transportation back to each cemetery once a year. But those trips are not for the faint of heart. After crossing the lake comes a grueling ride of up to 10 miles in the back of a cattle truck with hay bales for seats.
When we come across Fontana Lake, we were herded onto a pontoon boat, and it was mist and rain, and we were starting to get wet. And then when we unloaded, and let me inject right here, I have known several people personally to have fallen and broken legs and arms and got hurt trying to get on and off the barge and the trucks. And then we were herded into a truck, and I'm 40 years old, so I'm making it good. But a lot of other folks that aren't as young as I am, it's shaking you up real bad on the inside.
Finally, there's a hike of up to a mile over steep and treacherous terrain.
Right here, you know, a good long ways down there, somebody 73-year-old, you know, to get up here. This is the first time I've tried it since the dam was built.
Some don't make it, but for many, it's the first time they've been home in 50 years. And for many, it's a sacred moment filled with memories too painful to express with anything but tears.
Come home, come home. You are weary, come home. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling, oh sinner, come home.
Amen, yeah.
Henry Posey says he's about given up looking for the day the government will fulfill its promise. Now, he says, he's looking for a better day.
For I'll come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. That's the day that Henry's looking for.
The county, North Carolina, this is John George, TV7 Eyewitness News.